Hey folks, for anyone who saw my first video, I had H. pylori and I told the story of what I went through and how I came to understand what it was that I had, all the misdiagnoses that happened, including the hell that I went through. Well, this is a video where I want to tell you what I took and how I believe I defeated it and some tips and some of the things I went through with that. So it's going to be supplement-based, food-based, diet, all that stuff. To start, for supplements, when I had H. pylori, these are the ingredients that I believe eliminated it, and those are the ones that actually have some evidence as well. The biggest and absolute number one ingredient would be mastic gum. Mastic gum can come in capsules, and if you smell it, it smells like a tree. And I was taking 1 gram of that twice daily on an empty stomach. Mastic gum is probably the one supplement out there that is proven above all the rest in terms of scientific studies. All scientific studies have taken it with antibiotics in the antibiotic protocol, but there's a lot of people out there that have taken it by itself without the antibiotic protocol and have had amazing results. So mastic gum's like key. If you're gonna try to eliminate this naturally, you got to use mastic gum. Take it on an empty stomach. There are some people that think it's very harsh out there and say it hurts their stomach, and I think almost anything is gonna at some point. Usually the gastritis gets so bad that no matter what you take, it hurts. So I would try it for a little while, see if you get used to it. I did, and if it's still hurting you, if it's really bad, then maybe stop. But I really think mastic gum is what took out H. pylori for me. I had symptoms, not the gastrointestinal, but like the heart problems, the breathing problems, all that went away very quickly once I started using mastic gum. Another thing I used was oil of oregano, which is like a super potent natural antibiotic, so you probably don't want to be using that continuously. Whereas mastic gum, I'm still taking it today. It's been about a year. I'm still taking it. I'm just not risking this thing coming back. There seems to be no issues with continually taking mastic gum. Oil of oregano, however, is like an antibiotic. You typically don't want to take it more than 2 weeks. It's hot. It can be harsh if you have gastritis. But for me, I think it did. I think it was a little harsh, but I really think that was the one that I found. That's how I discovered H. pylori, as I took oil of oregano and realized I felt amazing afterwards, about a few days after taking it. And then I'd stop taking it and it would come back. And I would take oil of oregano to go. That's how I figured out it was bacteria. Is oil of oregano worked really well and phenomenally well. I took it in capsules because you can get it in essential oil form, and it's really hot. And I think putting hot stuff and burning your esophagus is probably not the best idea, because I had esophagitis from H. pylori, and that was causing a lot of breathing issues. So getting it to where it needs to go, where it can dissolve very quickly and then come out, was kind of better. I also have a way of getting the H. pylori that might be in your esophagus out too, so I'll tell that one later. But oil of oregano, it's just these little capsules you can buy. It's very expensive, but I was taking that. Once again, empty stomach. I feel like that's the best way of doing it. I'm not sure, but it seems like a lot of these things you want to take on an empty stomach. The second one was, third one, is Manuka honey, and that's what I did for the throat, is I would get Manuka honey, which is an outrageously expensive honey, but it has incredible antimicrobial properties. I actually have, I don't know if you're going to be able to see this, I have a scar on my foot because I stepped on a glass bottle and went through my foot and severed a nerve. I can't feel my big toe anymore. And it was a huge wound, and I didn't go to the doctor because I didn't have insurance, and everyone was like, you're never going to be able to heal that. And I taped it up and put a bandage on it with Manuka honey twice a day, and I healed it, never had any issues. It looks great. And it healed very quickly. So Manuka honey is an incredible antimicrobial. It's known for killing bacteria. I think it's even studied for H. pylori, but you need to get a specific one, and that is it has to say UMF 15 plus. It's going to be the higher the UMF, the better, but that's a lot more money as well. And MgO 550, which is like the antibacterial properties of that honey. It's pretty incredible. I took that and I would just swallow it. Like a teaspoon of it, maybe half a teaspoon, and that I believed helped my breathing issues. That's how I figured out that I think if it's possible to have H. pylori in the esophagus, because I thought I had a hiatal hernia, I had a lot of inflammation up here, and taking that Manuka honey stopped that. So whatever it was, I believe it killed it. I think it might have been H. pylori much higher in my gastrointestinal tract, and that definitely took care of it. The last supplement that I think is really needed for actually killing H. pylori or harming it is sulforaphane, which is actually in broccoli, more so in broccoli sprouts, and is in cabbage as well if you do cabbage juicing, which is what this is right here. This is actually cabbage juice and celery juice, which I drink every day now. I don't even care that I'm better now. I drink it every day. Like, I'm sticking with that. Sulforaphane is when you masticate that vegetable, that it is an enzyme that, I guess, connects with whatever it connects with to form sulforaphane. And sulforaphane is another thing that's been documented to kill H. pylori and some harmful bacteria. It also has an array of health benefits. You can buy it in capsule form, and sulforaphane supposedly only lasts so long. Like, I'm not supposed to be letting it sit here. You're supposed to drink it right away. But I swear that the capsules I got worked. I was taking something called Broco Max. It's an extract of broccoli. People have taken it, and they say they felt a lot better. And I really think that attributed to me getting over H. pylori, because I couldn't handle broccoli or broccoli sprouts. Vegetables and fiber killed me. As weird as it sounds, as soon as I quit the vegetables, I had enormous progress. I also ended up getting SIBO after that from taking probiotics and things, but that's a story for another time. Another thing that's actually really important, which I wrote here for H. pylori, is a lot of people don't talk about it. It's talked about in SIBO a little bit, but it has a biofilm. It's got it's essentially a shield. It's the best way of putting it. It has a colonized shield mechanism that it uses when it goes dormant, which prevents it from being susceptible to antibiotics. This is also why you don't want to starve out your bacteria. You're never going to starve it out. So don't do any crazy diets like low carb or fasting for a long period of time. You're not going to win. It goes dormant, and as soon as you start eating it, it comes back and proliferates. You're not going to beat it with a diet, unless that diet is, of course, antimicrobial, like garlic or something like that you can handle that hurts the H. pylori. Biofilm disruptors will destroy that little shield that it has, that it uses to create urease. Urease is what raises the pH of your stomach, and is the reason why you actually don't feel the gastritis until you eliminate H. pylori. At least that's my theory, because everyone who kills H. pylori starts getting better, and then they're like, wow, my stomach's so bad, why is that? And I think H. pylori was protecting your stomach in a weird way, but it completely obliterates digestion by raising your pH and lowering your stomach acid, and I'm going to get into that later. But it does that through the urease biofilm that it creates. So you want to destroy this biofilm to get to the H. pylori and have those first 4 supplements that I mentioned get to it. And I guess how you can do that is with lauric acid, which I believe is in coconut oil, but I don't have much information regarding lauric acid. It's popular. I never used it. Can't tell you if it works or not. Personally, never used it. N-acetyl-L-cysteine is another one, which is supposed to be quite effective. It's a natural supplement, has so many benefits. I couldn't handle it. I had some, but I couldn't handle it because, very similar to broccoli, it's a sulfurous compound, and if sulfur is a sensitivity you have, which is something I had when I had H. pylori for some reason, you can't really handle it very well. So I actually use bismuth, which you don't hear as much, and it is more of a pharmaceutical. They do use it in quad therapy, which is the reason why I think quad therapy is so much better than triple therapy. Is bismuth is a biofilm disruptor, and that comes from Dr. Pimentel, who uses bismuth, or recommended it, for annihilating SIBO, which is small intestinal bacteria overgrowth, because it destroys those biofilms. It does the exact same thing for H. pylori. So taking bismuth may actually make H. pylori more susceptible to some of the natural antibiotics you're using, and it even coats your stomach. It makes you relax, feels good, and I guess it even hurts the respiration or respiratory process of H. pylori. So that's some crazy stuff that it does. It does lower your stomach acid, though, and I think it might even prevent the mucosa or mucosal lining from producing stomach acid. So bismuth is not something you want to take for a long time, but if you're doing like a week or a 2 week period where you're trying to annihilate this thing, it might be a great idea. Just don't rely on it for helping your stomach feel good, because it feels great when you first take it, but I felt like it actually exacerbated gastritis symptoms for whatever reason, because I think it was affecting stomach acid. So don't use it for too long. And that's really what I used to kill H. pylori. I think those were the ones that were most effective. I did try, kept putting things in and taking things out, but that was it. And when I had H. pylori, eating was really, really tough. So I did some dietary things. And in terms of diet, things that killed H. pylori, or I believe that did, was the cabbage juicing and the celery juicing. And I'll go over that real quick. Eating foods was very hard. Vegetables was brutal. Anything with fiber was just terrible. I couldn't eat fiber at all. Vegetables were killing me. The more raw, the worse. So juicing was incredible. It removed that fiber, and it allowed me to consume things and get nutrients that I needed. But the cabbage juice has the sulforaphane, which works against H. pylori, and the celery juice actually helps you restore stomach acid. So that's a weird aspect I want to get into a little bit later, but the celery seed, or restoring stomach acid, allowing to have the components that you need to restore stomach acid, is what helps you continue the elimination of H. pylori or actually prevent it from coming back. So I'm going to go over that a little bit more, but that stuff, I believe that was a huge aspect in repairing me. Cabbage juice also is a huge healing remedy for ulcers. And if you get ulcers, which can be the sharp pain in your gastrointestinal tract from H. pylori, you'll want to go down the road with cabbage juice. And to continue with that a little bit too with the ulcers is I used cabbage juice with zinc carnosine. Zinc carnosine was another incredibly effective healing remedy. There's a lot of studies on it for your ulcers. So using cabbage juice and zinc carnosine after or maybe even during eradication of H. pylori will help heal up those ulcers, which is, like I said, the sharp burning and gnawing pain that you feel, especially right here on the right side. That can happen. People think that's their gallbladder or their liver going down. That's your duodenum. 90% of duodenum ulcers are from H. pylori. So if you have sharp pain over there, it's your ulcer. It is an ulcer happening. It's not common because ulcers are usually peptic, but with H. pylori it's common. So that's what's going on right there. To continue in the whole gastritis ulcer area, if you get gastritis and you're having a hard time consuming foods, some foods that worked for me was chicken and potatoes. And fish is fine. I did a little bit of rice as long as it wasn't seasoned. You pretty much have to stay away from all seasoning. But chicken and potatoes was my life. It saved me. I could consume it. This is a weird topic I don't want to get too into because I don't want to give out bad information. But for me, I couldn't eat anything healthy, actually. Vegetables was terrible. Red meats were rough. Everything that I thought would have been good was terrible. However, some processed foods were much better. Like going out and getting this really refined processed mashed potato mix without using milk and dairy. I would use like butter, a little bit. I could handle that very well, and I was able to get nutrients in that way. I started realizing that muffins, I didn't have any issues with gluten or sugar, so I could actually get nutrients in eating muffins. So it was really strange that I had to kind of steer away from health foods that was debilitating, especially fermented foods and probiotics, which a lot of people say you should take. Okay, maybe, but I didn't have the stomach acid for that, and it ended up causing small intestinal bacteria overgrowth. I had SIBO from that. So very heavy probiotic-rich foods were killing me, causing bloating and bad breath and indigestion and all these problems that I had to raise my stomach acid to help the annihilation of that. So for me, refined foods was fine. Sugar was fine. It's not feeding the H. pylori. And if it is, go with Dr. Pimentel's recommendation, who says feed the bacteria because it lets it come out of hiding and then it makes it more susceptible to the antibiotics. So I think potatoes, chicken, that's how I survived for like literally 3 months. I did reduce meal size and eating frequency. You're going to go under calories. That's fine. Let your stomach heal. It's so important to let your stomach start healing. And then you'll get your weight back after that. To continue the gastritis and ulcer repair part, because that's what's going to be happening after H. pylori. Is you can't eat. You're going to be like, is it coming back? A lot of people say that. Do I have H. pylori again? No, you don't. Your stomach's ruined. It's going to be ruined for months. And I'm sorry, it's going to take a long time to get better. It's going to feel terrible. A lot of people even say the C word. They're like, do I have stomach cancer? Is that what this is? No, you don't. You're fine. It's going to feel terrible. It's going to be abysmal. And yes, you have to stick to a reasonable diet. Eat what works. But do this for a while, and you're going to be back to normal. I'm back to normal right now. I can literally eat anything I want. And I feel a little bit of something, but I'm much, much better than I was. And to help do that, I use these supplements. L-glutamine. I used lots of L-glutamine. I really don't think you can use too much. It's a powder. It's super cheap. You can use like 20 grams of it. I was using 10 to 20 grams a sitting, and I'd use it like twice a day. So that is an amino acid that helps build up the stomach barrier. I think it even helps with the mucosal lining or building up the mucosa. It works lower in the intestinal tract too, which is awesome stuff. And then going along with that too is bone broth. A lot of people are talking about that now. It's expensive. You can cook soups in it, which is pretty awesome. Use it as like a broth. But I actually just drank it. I would drink it slowly, and it's got collagen and the glutamine's in there too, and these protein nutrients that you not only need, but it helps rebuild that stomach lining, and that's what you're going for here. You need to rebuild that stomach because that's why everything feels so awful. So go with the bone broth. It does feel a little heavy. Drink it slow. It used to hurt my stomach, but like I said, everything did. So I kind of realized I had to just stick with it because it's gonna hurt, and then it got better. Another thing that I used, which I think was great, but also could be slightly problematic, and I'll explain why, is slippery elm, marshmallow root, and DGL licorice. All of those coat your lining of the stomach and makes you feel great. I would take those before big meals. I wasn't supposed to have big meals. Let's say that's it, I'm done. I'm going to just eat something I'm really not supposed to. Taking those made it feel so much better. However, I noticed that if I took it a lot, I started having a lot of pain at night when I would wake up in the morning, and it felt like the food was sitting there. I had bad breath. This was dyspepsia and all that, indigestion. I wasn't digesting my food. And so I think slippery elm might, and those other ones might actually contribute to hypochlorhydria, which is low stomach acid. It might not, it's not helping digestion. It's stopping the stomach from hurting, but I don't think it's really helping that. So that's going to lead into the last step here. The last step that I did that fixed everything. I went on for, this has been over a year, and I got rid of H. pylori pretty quick, and I started going through gastritis, and that hurt, but then I had so much stomach pain, I couldn't handle food, I kept waking up to it, I couldn't figure out what the hell it was, and really what it was low stomach acid. When I finally realized that, okay, acid scared me because I had gastritis and anything hot was really bad, when I realized I needed to put stomach acid in there, I fixed everything in a week. In a week of putting what's called betaine hydrochloric acid to supplement your stomach acid. When I started supplementing with that, and I would take 1 or 2 capsules. I recommend capsules over tablets. Don't have anything else in it. Just betaine hydrochloric acid and pepsin. I put 2 capsules right before I was about to eat, like 5 minutes. As I was eating, I put another 2 in there. I was fine. I didn't feel burning. I didn't feel any kind of pain. I guess if you feel burned, it's a bad thing. You get enough stomach acid. Don't let that happen. But if you don't, you can raise the dose, and you keep raising it until you find out, if it's working for you or not. I mean, it starts to work after a while, and your body recycles it too. I never could figure that out too. A lot of people are like, oh, keep using it, and then you'll find out you don't need it anymore. How does that work? If you put hormones in your body downregulates it, stops producing the hormone, you lose it. I don't want to do that with my stomach acid. Doesn't work like that. You put stomach acid in, your body reabsorbs it, the mucosal starts to secrete it again when it needs it. And betaine hydrochloric acid, when your pH level is correct in your stomach, and by correct I mean extremely low at 1 to 3 pH, everything works. Your body starts secreting enzymes, your pancreas starts secreting enzymes, your liver is producing bile, it's going to the gallbladder secreting it out. Everything's starting to work, and it only works if your stomach acid's right. So with your H. pylori there, raising your stomach acid, raising the pH of your stomach acid, making it less effective, destroying the mucosal lining, which is making your inability to produce that stomach acid, you're missing stomach acid. You need it. So when I took slippery elm, marshmallow root, and DGL licorice, which was coating the lining of my stomach, I could take large amounts of betaine hydrochloric acid, digest my food. I felt it disappear, like it moved, because it literally felt like it was sitting there. All that bloating and pain was the food just sitting there. I was remedied at that point. That was the final step where I was now digesting my food. Nutrients was getting at, energy coming back. It was unbelievable. I was like, I'm finally over it. After a year, it was actually a year and a half for me of going through this. I reached the end. I figured it out. I did it. And that was the goal. Just to last a little bit, too, I continued to do cabbage and celery juice. I do betaine hydrochloric acid still. I don't do anything else really. A little bit of L-glutamine. Potassium, a lot of people are low in potassium too. If you have the heart palpitations, do the potassium. B vitamins helped me out a lot. But other than that, that's it. That's what I took. There's 3 stages. Once again, eliminating the H. pylori. It's helping the gastritis and coating the lining of the stomach, and then restoring your acid function, stomach acid. And that was it. I did it, and it was. It seems like something you're going to live with the rest of your life. Doctors will even tell you that. Nope, sorry, you have that. It's just a problem. It's IBS. You're going to have that the rest of your life, but that's not true at all. You can fix this. You can absolutely fix it. The only caution that I have is probiotics. You can try them. If it helps you, great. For me, it caused a huge issue. So if you're taking probiotics and it causes bloating and brain fog and discomfort, stop. That put me back so much. Eggs is also really hard to digest. I kept eating those for the nutrients, and it wasn't working out for me. So, but you're gonna get over this. Once you do this, I'm telling you, it'll work. It takes a long time. It takes a lot of care, and it takes a lot of consistency. But it's gonna be done. You're gonna go right back to where you were before. You can eat whatever you want if that's what you want to do. I'm not gonna recommend it. Stick with the stuff like I'm doing. Just take this as a enlightenment. Like, I gotta go forward now and be healthy. Do that. But you can and will be able to go back and eat whatever you want for those periods of time where you just need to remember that you're alive. It's gonna happen. You're gonna be over it, and And that's that. So if I helped you out here, feel free to reach out to me, and I'll give you whatever advice I can. But know that you're gonna get through this, and I really hope this helps you folks out. So it's great seeing you guys. See you around.